So time now for round 2, race 1 in the QBE Australian Super Sport Championship. And of course, Kristen Casella starts from pole position by virtue of being fastest in the 4-bike Super Pole session, just behind Mitchell Carr. Championship leader Aaron Gobert's on the second row with Rick Olsen, the second of the Yamaha machines with Chris Quinn. Now, Jackson Lee Smith and Dylan Maven will not take the start for this race or race 2 due to falls in qualifying. They're out for the weekend as we get set for a start. The 600s are away, and that was Waters who was lifting the front wheel off the line. Down into turn 1, it's Nick Waters who leads, Kev Curtin second, and our pole man, the Triumph, is back to third.
Good smooth start from Kev Curtin to lob into second place. Riders file through there pretty smoothly. Down the straight for the first time, hard under brakes into the hairpin shortly. Casella on the inside looking for the move, Curtin on the outside.
Oh, Brodie Waters loses control and wipes out his brother Nick. That was a big one. Both riders trying to get going again. Nick is furious with this. The works bike of Brodie escapes. Let's have a look again on the QBE replay. Out of control. Lucky not to wipe Casella out too.
Nick Waters, quick gesture to his brother there as he jumps up and runs back over to his bike.
So that leaves Kev Curtin in the lead. Kristen Casella sitting P2. But that was really, really strange. I'd like to see that again. Just what unfolded on that run to the hairpin for the very first time. Rick Olsen sitting third on the second Yamaha. QBE replay again. Talk us through this one, Kev.
He's up the inside, you can see, of the other rider, and then it just jumps on the brakes too hard and it lifts the back wheel off the ground and cocks it sideways, and then he's just a passenger from that point on and careers through his brother.
Now, he's managed to at least remount, but no doubt there's damage to that bike. That bike won't be in pristine condition after a tumble like that.
No, definitely not. And Brodie's would be damaged too, probably just from the impact, even if it didn't get damaged when it actually went down and skated along off into the gravel. He was quickest to get up, Brodie, but we'll see soon where he can get back to what he can salvage out of that, well, brotherly love incident.
Or a lack therefore of love. Ooh, it's going to be interesting post-race back in pit lane, but the result is that Kev Curtin leads the way, comes into this weekend second in the championship, just 2 points down on round 1 winner Aaron Gobert. So he's in the box seat here to really launch his way up the order. Kristen Casella, remember, 1 championship point bonus for his pole position. Rick Olsen behind in third spot, and the Triumph's in deep as well.
He got in a little bit deep, back wheel come off the ground a bit. Olsen trying to chase these two down. They certainly haven't got away from him yet, but Casella, you can see, he's really got the bit between his teeth trying to get Kev Curtin. Certainly not let him get away at this stage of the race. Just maintain that gap. He's okay here, and then he can attack a bit more later on.
Dunlop on board with our leader Kev Curtin on the Yamaha. Have a listen as they run through this final sweeper in front of the pits again. Kristen Casella, though, lucky to still be in this race. He was a bee's knee away from being brought down in that double Suzuki tumble.
He definitely was, and very lucky indeed. But the smoothness of Kev Curtin around a very tricky, tight section of the track as they launch out onto the straight. Plenty of power from the R6 on the back wheel out of there and right back over to the right-hand side of the track for the run down to the hairpin. Casella again hard under brakes. Closes the gap a little bit, just a little bit. I know they're going slower, but I think he picked up about a metre or two overall on Kev Curtin just in that braking area alone.
Now, for our viewers who perhaps don't watch Superbike and Super Sport racing as much, here's Brodie Waters. He's back on board and just trying to salvage some points from this race. But primarily, what are the differences between the big bikes that we've already seen and the smaller Super Sport machines?
Superbike's 1000cc, bit heavier than the 600 Super Sport bikes. The second Super Sport bike there, Kristen Casella's Triumph, that's a 3-cylinder machine and allowed to run 675 cc's because of the 3-cylinder rule. And the other Japanese manufacturers are 4-cylinder 600cc machines, all 4 cylinders across the frame.
Quick shot back there of Brodie Waters as he starts this fight back through the field. Love this hairpin, one of the slowest corners that you'll find on any racetrack in the country, but so critical because it sets up how fast you are on the run back towards the pits.
right around through the fast sweeper. That's the tricky corner. You go from one extreme to the other, one of the slowest corners in the country. The very next corner is one of the fastest, and then into a long sweeping double apex left-hander. You can see the grid markings there for some of the other races, car races that go right around through that last corner. Curtin still out in the lead. Casella right on his hammer. Nothing in this one so far on lap 6. Kev will know what's going on. Just trying to not conserve his tyres, but just not brutally punish them this, quarter race distance. Casella taking the absolute opposite side of the track to Kev Curtin on the run down to the hairpin.
Mitchell Carr sitting in 4th place on another of the triumphs. And having a look back here, this is Aaron Gobert, bike 96, the black Yamaha. Our championship leader was delayed in that brotherly love exchange on turn 1, or lap 1, I should say, down here at the hairpin. He's on the fight back trail. He's back up to position 8. But at this rate, though, he won't be able to stop Kev Curtin from taking the championship lead.
Yeah, long way to go yet. He's just got to salvage what he can out of this one. Coming through traffic, that'll cost him a little bit of time. He's got to deal with those guys as quickly and effectively as possible. Having a look around the outside there, still can't get them. Needs to jump on them right here. Set up for a run out of the exit and then at least get one of them down this straight. Still can't get there, so Gobert probably a little bit rattled from that incident as well.
He's trying to round up bike 9. That's Andy Lawson Jr. on board the Yamaha, and in front of Andy is Chris Quinn on the Yamaha. We jump on board the Dunlop onboard camera.
Aaron Gobert not used to racing against these guys, and he's got to work out their styles, where they're fast, where they're slow. So he's doing a bit of learning there at the moment on his way back through. We'll see how long it takes to get him. Plus, he's rattled from that off-track excursion because of the mix-up on the first lap, and he's got to settle down. That's the worst thing. He could be in too big of a hurry, and it's quite easy to make a mistake after that when you are trying to pass guys like this further down the field.
And you've got to temper that aggression too, but the reality is it wasn't his fault. He was a completely innocent bystander in all of that, but he had the most to lose. As we jump back here to the fight for 3rd and 4th, Rick Olsen in front of Mitchell Carr, and Mitchell's pretty strong in round 1 down at Phillip Island, but these two have just lost the slipstream to our race leader Kev Curtin and pole sitter Kristen Casella.
It does hurt you a little bit when you've got the gap back that far. Not that when you're right on the tail you can do a lot with these 600s around here. It's more of a helpful, the draft on the 600 than it is on the superbike, but that's just a little bit too far back to have any advantage whatsoever. But there's still a podium position up for grabs at this point of the race right there.
Don't forget race 2 coming up straight after race 1, and the qualifying order determines the grid for race 2, so you could have a really good ride in race 1, but you could have qualified poorly. You have to do it all over again. You can't rest on your laurels from the first race.
Curtin's still got things under control, but is Christian Casella just sitting, waiting to nail him on that last lap, or maybe a couple to go and then pull a quick gap? Still Olsen and Carr all over each other for 3rd spot.
Well, that triumph's been pretty quick this weekend. It struggled in the first round down at Phillip Island. Now he comes for the move. The pole sitter lunging into the hairpin.
Olsen covering a bit there on Mitchell Carr. Just a little bit tired than he would rather be, and Carr can't do anything about it. So out after him again, back down towards the sweep. A bike on the side of the track there. Someone getting out of the way. Leaders have gone past. 3rd and 4th pass safely.
Carr now up the inside of Olsen. On the QBE replay, pulls out of the draft, and the triumph goes around a 3rd spot. But Olsen back down the inside. Here is our leader, Kristen Casella. The pole man has got his way through on Kev Curtin. It was a big move, Kev, down at the hairpin, but half race distance. Let's see what this triumph's got.
Yeah, and Casella made it stick right around through there. You could see the early exit out of that last left and the quick flick back to the right to carry the speed all the way down this long straight into the hard braking area, covering right on the inside out to about mid-track into the hairpin, just to make sure he's got Curtin under control. Doesn't want him to get a sniff of the lead and then have this turn into an argument.
Symmons playing a track that's tough on brakes. Of course, you're stopping from such high speeds back to low speeds and doing it so frequently, but is it hard on tyres as well, or is it a bit easier on the rubber?
Yeah, it's hard on tyres as well, hard on everything. Scarcella just getting helped off the track there by the marshals with a problem on the entry to the fast sweeper. Yeah, it's braking is crucial, because if you miss your braking point from that high speed into the hairpin by a tenth of a second, basically end up in the gravel heap. So that's how critical it is to be very precise with your braking markers.
The bus stop section that leads them back to the hairpin, so it's really turned into a two-way fight here between the bike that started from pole and the man who is second in the championship. But Curtin throwing out another challenge at the hairpin, and it's kind of like what we had last weekend at Phillip Island, Kev, where it's a case of backwards and forwards, just sussing out where each bike's a little bit stronger at different parts of the track.
Yeah, can see Casella trying really hard on the brakes in there, and just was a little bit wide all the way through his line through the hairpin, but has still been able to get out of there fast enough and carry the speed through the fast sweeper and still lead down. But Curtin all over the back of him, because he just gained that little bit of time with a better line through that hairpin. Looking for opportunities now. Kev Curtin sitting in second place, right on Casella's back wheel.
And these two both set their fastest lap of the race so far on lap 8. Casella a 56.1, Kevy Curtin a 56.3. And that gives you an indication of the sort of gap that they've been able to pull out on this field. And that's Aaron Gobert still fighting his way back after that lap 1 incident. He's got a long way to come back from, but he's done a good job.
Making ground and salvaging some valuable points from what could have otherwise been disastrous had he fell off and broken a front brake lever and not got any points whatsoever. So it's fortunate that he's been able to get something back.
Well, he's up to position 6, and I can tell you that Brodie Waters is 10th, so just trying to get to the finish line and salvage something out of what very well could have been a big fat 0.
Yeah, and the good thing is, you know, with a bit longer race, 20 laps, at least you got time to salvage something. If it was like, say, an 8 or a 12-lap race, you barely got a chance to make amends.
Aaron Gobert, the winner of the first round down at Phillip Island, which of course supported the World Superbike Championship, and riding a privateer Yamaha. And although the factory bikes are strong in Supersport, we've seen good privateer machinery from Triumph and Suzuki and Yamaha. You can still be competitive.
Definitely can, and that's a good thing about 600 Supersport class. Varied machines and not so expensive as in the Superbike budgets, but still great racing. Gobert's still hard at it, trying to make up some gap.
Came into the weekend 2 points up on Kev Curtin. He won the second race at Phillip Island. Was third in race 1. But it's got a bit of a margin to pull back here in the next 6 or so laps. But he's not on the tyre wall, and that's where Bryce Van Hoofer's gone on the Kawasaki. Manages to keep it off the rubber and gets back onto the road. He's down the back of the field and some 2 laps down, but nevertheless part of a good field of Supersport bikes here in Tasmania. So the Victorians back on track. We're back to the front. This is where it's at. Kev Curtin and Christian Casella. Bit of a private fight for this race.
Definitely good argument between the manufacturers too. Yamaha in front, Triumph right on his tail, and Casella adopting Kev Curtin's line into the hairpin, following him on the wide line. So Casella doing everything he can, certainly to go with Kev Curtin and then argue about the race win in the closing laps.
What a great chance this is for a young gun like Kristen, who is a bit of a coming man on the local motorcycle scene, to follow someone like Kevy Curtin around, who's done so many laps of so many tracks. He's won so many trophies and titles. You're going to learn something here no matter what happens.
Yeah, you can't not learn something. Having a look around the outside, Casella, but it's going to tighten right up into that first left-hander. And they get through there safely. Olsen still on Carr, third and fourth there on screen. So Olsen got him covered at the moment. So Carr's more than likely had an attack and just lost that little bit of a gap. Casella still likes to look down the inside of Curtin. Olsen hard on the brakes. Carr going with him. Gap closes up a little bit just because of the slow speed through the hairpin, where you drop right down. Elevation change of about 2 or 3 metres between the entry and the exit of that hairpin.
And you can't quite get into the absolute apex because it's pretty much a gutter in there rather than a change from bitumen to dirt.
Yeah, it's a really difficult corner, but you just got to be patient with it, get through there and get out of there is the main thing, because it's a real easy place to make a mistake because of the slow speed.
This is the final turn that brings the riders back in front of pit lane. Symmons Plains Raceway have done a great job. Always has been changing and modifying and updating things here on the Apple Isle. 4 laps to go. through this bus stop section, which was new a few years ago, and down to the hairpin. But it pretty much is now settled into a rhythm. Olsen's clear in third, Mitchell Carr in fourth. They've dropped off Glenn Scott on board the best of the Kawasaki's, and Aaron Gobert's still fighting his way back through the field. Here is Brodie Waters, who's in the top 10, but not by much, and no doubt that bike is definitely hurting, and probably the rider as well.
He'll be covering something and probably waiting to get back to the pits and see his brother and have a little bit of a chat out the back, maybe.
I reckon he could wait a bit longer, don't you reckon?
Interesting night for those boys.
Great job here for Rick Olsen, hanging on in third. So 2 Yamahas in the top 3 positions of this first race of the weekend in the QBE Australian Super Sport Championship. Of course, last year's champ Troy Herfoss stepping up to the Superbike this year and opening the door for another young gun, or indeed another not quite as young gun, well, when Kevy Curtin's around, you've got to say that, to really step up and take that #1 plate.
With all due respect.
With lots of due respect. Mitchell Carr here in 4th spot. Hasn't quite been able to go with Rick Olsen in the second half of this race.
And Casella on Curtin through the sweeper, getting a run, going to stick it down the inside. So there'll be another lead change there, no doubt. But how many times will it change before they get back in front of the pits?
Well, for his sake, you'd hope not many more, because he's got his way to the lead. Olsen here in 3rd. And this could be a race that we look back on later in the championship that could have really changed things around. It may have brought both Brodie and Nicholas Waters' championships undone. And it may have made things for Christian Casella. Remember, he struggled in the first round down at Phillip Island, but he's got a very quick bike at the moment. Kev Curtin, though.
Again, ducking to the inside. Casella under brakes into the hairpin. A little bit hot again, so he's got everything out on the table. Christian Casella on the Triumph to head off Kev Curtin on the R6 Yamaha, coming up to lap traffic too, so this could play a part in the closing laps.
You just don't want to get lap traffic at this part of the circuit. Curtin showing the nose. Couple of laps left to go. This is not the part that you need to catch a lap right, because they've got nowhere to really get out of your way. Now he can, though, on this pit straight.
Yeah, Casella might get him before, but will Curtin get held up through the tighter section on the track, the double left and then the right flick? Sort of not held up too much, probably a little bit by now, and especially through that last right-hander on the exit to the straight, that may kill a bit of Kev Curtin's speed.
And the rider that they were going by is the local Lawrence Good on the Suzuki, bike 48. Love watching these bikes squirm around on the run down to the hairpin, particularly after a bit of a long race. A little bit of a look behind from Kev Curtin just to see where's the rest of the world, but the good news is they're a fair way behind.
Yeah, just checking on Rick Olsen and the distance and the lap rider, making sure the lap rider's not going to try and have a crack, but Kev Curtin well clear of him now. Casella, more lap traffic. Will this provide an opportunity for Kev Curtin? He'll be looking at that, hoping like hell that Casella gets messed up, and he has done somewhat. But again, will it play havoc for Kev Curtin in this next section?
Casella manages to get on through, puts a lap on Levi Day on board the Suzuki from South Australia, but he's on his final lap now on the way home, and it's been a good, solid weekend, of course, with one race still to come for the Triumph team. Again, Kev Curtin's looking behind, so looks to me second place is his.
He's settled for second, obviously, on that, but he was certainly trying and then lost any opportunity when he got caught with that lap rider, Levi Day, through that tighter section, and that just let Casella go because he's had clear track both times. Kev's got caught up through there. Casella got caught up himself as well through the long left. Another lap rider getting right out of the way of the leaders, so paying attention to the blue flags, the rider there.
Last couple of corners coming up in this first race of the weekend for the QBE Australian Super Sport Championship at Symmons Plains. He qualified on pole position in Super Pole, and he's going to bring it to the line. Christian Casella, great job. He takes the opening race of the weekend, and that's a critical fight back in this championship, and don't you think he knows it? Casella takes the win, 1.47 seconds clear of Kev Curtin. Rick Olsen, a great job on the second Yamaha to finish third from Mitchell Carr. Position 5, Glenn Scott on the Kawasaki. Aaron Gobert fought back for 6th. Andy Lawson Jr. 7th on the Yamaha. And Chris Quinn rounded out the top 8. Brodie Waters recovered to finish in 9th.
Kevin, Christian got away, and I was staying with them a little bit. You know, they weren't getting too far away, and I thought if I can keep pushing out laps, I might be able to, you know, catch them. But I made a few front-enders and it scared me a bit, and then I had Mitchell all over me, so I had a pretty good race with him, and yeah, to get third's pretty good. I'm happy with it.
Kev, I think unfortunately your plan got thrown into disarray when you got a couple of back markers in the worst part of the circuit.
Yeah, it was the worst part, and not only getting one, it was two after the next lap. But thought I might have been able to get him on the last lap if we didn't have that drama. But I had a few ideas where to get him, but you know, sometimes your plans go wrong.
Christian, congratulations on a fantastic ride. But I think very, very important was a good start, and you just stayed there with Kev for the entire couple of first laps of the race.
Yeah, Kev's. It's great having Kev back in the championship. You know, he raises the bar and he rides really good. You can't make any mistakes because he doesn't. So, yeah, it really pushes you to that next level. And it's a great race. It's just a pleasure to be on board.
QBE presents the Viking Group Australian Superbike Championship, proudly brought to you by Motul and International Entertainment Group.